Welcome to the cave. Thank you for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me, man.
Hey, you've been on a great adventure this season on Yellowstone, man.
Yeah.
I had Denham Richards on a few about a month ago, and I tell him like this might be one of my favorite shows. What's your thoughts on this?
Yeah, no, I mean it's one of mine too, honestly. I loved it even before I got cast and it's just it gets you hooked and I've had trouble stopping before and I'm still having trouble.
Eh, What do you think makes this show so special, and how do you feel to be part of this universe, pretty much?
Yeah, I mean, your first question, like what makes it so special, there's endless things I could say about why, and I honestly don't know what it is. I think it's sometimes with these shows, it's you just don't know what draws you to it and you just end up hooked on it. But I mean, there's so many things. I mean, Taylor being the amazing writer that he is, and I think also the fact that I think out of any show that's dove into this type of world with cowboys and ranchers and whatnot, I think this show really tries to stay true to how they really work and how they really live their lives to a degree. Obviously, it's a very dramatic and intense version of it, but these things also do happen, and I think they really try to stay true to the details of real cowboy and ranching life, which I think is what draws a lot of people to it. I think the realer a show can be, the more people can relate to it, and I think they do a really good job about that. And getting to be on it is, it's a dream. It's a dream come true, especially having watched all the episodes before I even been cast. I mean, that's just, it doesn't get better than that. And getting to work with such an amazing cast and amazing team and writers and crew, it's been amazing.
Did you feel any pressure heading into this season and working with this cast, like joining the cast, everything? Now they've done already 4 seasons. You come into the fifth season.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's pressure going into any show, especially one that's run for 4 seasons as successful as it is.
Hmm.
But luckily, I was actually originally casted in season one as young Casey, so I got to
Yeah.
meet so many people and been friends with them since then. I've been friends with Luke and I've known Taylor most of my life actually, and so I've known a lot of people since before, so that helped a lot, just knowing the cast already and knowing a lot of the crew and everything like that. But there's still always pressure going into it, and so but it was good pressure. It was exciting pressure, like it something I really worked to get to, so definitely fun.
Mm. So we see this season as a Rowdy. When you first met Taylor, also like for this season, did he put you through the boot camp? Like I said, I mentioned earlier, I had Denim on. He told me about the whole boot camp and everything for Cowboy. Did you go through this process also?
Yep, I went through the whole thing. I did the whole cowboy camp, and it was quite the experience. It was amazing, but for me, it was my first time ever getting on a horse,
Wow.
so it was definitely like a wake up for me, where I didn't know I was going to be doing as much as I was doing, but once I got there, I kind of realized what was going on, and it took me a while, but the cast was so great, and our trainers and wranglers were amazing, and they whipped me into shape and got me ready to go. It took me a minute, but by the end of it, I felt very fulfilled and a lot better than I had started. So it was a lot of fun.
What do you think was the biggest challenge in the boot camp for you?
Weirdly enough, trotting was super
Okay.
hard for me. Like not the walking or the loping, but the in between was insanely hard. Like I was bouncing like 6 feet out of the air on my horse every time I was trotting.
Uh,
But once I got the hang of that, everything else came pretty smooth.
uh, so Rowdy, how was it connected with this character? What drew you to the role?
Yeah, I mean, for me, the biggest thing I'd say is, I love characters that have, a darker depth to them.
Yeah.
And I think that's what I'm drawn to in most characters is just having, I don't love if it's one straight line of a storyline
Mm.
for a character. I love when a character has a darker edge to them and can really kind of twist themselves around at the end or throughout the whole thing. And I think that really drew me to him. And it also drew me that Rowdy wasn't just a good guy or just a bad guy. Like Rowdy was, in my opinion, a very complex character, and getting to kind of like tweak that and play around with that was definitely what drew me to it, and it was a lot of fun.
Mm. Yeah, because we see throughout like the first few episodes, like you mentioned, there's a little mystery with your character, a little darkness, everything, but at the same time, like he comes off sometimes as a bad guy, but you also see a few scenes where he might be a good guy. He likes people. He wants to help people.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. That I love that. It shows, you know, hills and valleys of a real person and a good character, I think. Yeah.
What did you love about this character?
I loved his name. That was the first thing I loved about him. But the the I honestly loved how Rowdy ended. And I think that it was cool to see him go back to his, you know, his roots of the season of actually caring about Rip at the end there. And even in his, you know, dying breaths, he was still trying to make sure Rip did the best thing for himself. So I think even though Rowdy was, you know, kind of a jerk and everything like that and did some messed up stuff, at the end of it, he still showed that he cared about Rip. And I think that was my favorite part of Rowdy for sure.
Mitch, Rip and everything. We see a big fight between you two. Describe that scene and like how long did it take you guys to go through that process to film that?
Yeah, it's actually crazy. So that was the last, you know, that was actually the last episode we filmed. And I had to fly. So I had already, you know, wrapped pretty much where I was staying in Montana for a long period of time. I'd been able to go home for the first time, but then I started shooting a movie in Bulgaria. And so we had to move the schedule. So I actually had to fly from Bulgaria to straight to Montana for 3 days to shoot that scene and then fly right back to Bulgaria. So I didn't even sleep in between any of these things. Like I went right into it, landed in Montana after like 20 hours of flying, then flew right back to Bulgaria and started shooting again. But it took us like I would say about 2.5, 3 days to shoot that and kind of, you know, choreograph the whole fight scene and stuff. And we tried a bunch of different ways with it and different things. And it was a crazy fight scene because we were doing it on a hill. So everything that we're doing, if we're trying to run or do anything, we're trying to keep our balance and not fall until we're supposed to fall and everything like that. But it was really, really cool to do that with the whole like stunt team and stuff. But the cool part about it was we did everything. Like we had no stunt doubles during that scene or anything like that. Like that was all us the whole time.
When you were talking to Taylor about like your character and everything, was this always the plan? Did you know right away that Rowdy was going to die in the show?
I knew, yes, I did know that Rowdy was going to die. I didn't know in what way. There was a couple different, I think there was a couple different scenarios in which it was going to happen, but it was always kind of be like Rowdy was going to be Rip's first train station drop off.
And you also mentioned like we see your character, you're like he tries to cover up for Rip. You're like with your dying breath, pretty much you're telling it that he had nothing to do with it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's honestly my favorite part about Rowdy's storyline, I think, is that ending because it really adds a cool little twist to it.
If you could rewrite the storyline and you win the fight, where do you think your character would go?
First off, if it was rewritten that I won the fight, I don't think I would have killed Rip.
Okay.
I was actually talking about that. I talked about that with Entertainment Tonight, I think, and I was saying that if Rowdy won that fight, I don't think he would have killed Rip because I don't think Rowdy took it as seriously as Rip did. Like I don't think that, you know, Rip is you know, the most loyal guy on the planet, and so the things I said about Beth didn't really mean much to me, but they meant a lot to Rip. So I think if it was reversed and I ended up overcoming him, I don't think I would have killed him at all. But I don't think I would have lasted on the ranch anyways. If I did survive, I don't think I would have lasted much longer. I would have messed it up somehow with JD and it wouldn't have gone well for me either way.
Last question. I was told to ask you your favorite character on Yellowstone. Who is it and why?
That's a tough one. That's a really tough. I mean, I like everyone, but I think my favorite character is Beth Dutton for sure. I think Beth Dutton is just so badass. So I would definitely have to go with her.
And she's pretty straightforward.
Yeah. Yeah, she is. She is who she is, and that's about it. But I think in season 5, you've seen the most of the depth of Beth of her sweet side, which is really cool to watch as well.
Guy, this was great. I want to thank you for giving me a few minutes today. This was great talk about Yellowstone, and hopefully we get you back on for future projects.
Definitely, man. Thank you so much for having me.